All right. So hopefully you can see my screen, which I just started to share. And I think we can get started. This meeting is being recorded, just so we can share it with you later. And also others who cannot attend in person. I would like to start with a couple of logistic things, and then we can talk about the customization options in Microsoft Search. So for those of you who are not familiar with me and with the Search Explained, my name is Agnes Molnar. I live in the Netherlands. I've been working with Microsoft technologies for over 20 years now. The primary focus is on search and findability and everything that is related to information findability. So information architecture, how you organize your content, and also we do knowledge management projects as well. I've been working with Microsoft technologies for forever. And also I am a member of many professional organizations, not only Microsoft-related organizations, but also search-related, but across all the search engines. So I try to have an overall insight about the trends, about where other search engines go, what are the latest news and improvements. Obviously, these days we have much more news than we can process with all the AI and ChatGPT and LLM and those kind of things. So I try to keep up with all of those. And it's a big help that I get from those organizations and those groups and professional networks for that. As Search Explained, we are a small company in the Netherlands. Our clients are across the globe. We have clients in the US, but also in Southeast Asia, and of course here in Europe. We do consulting, training, implementation, and also coaching and mentoring services around Microsoft Search and information management. The topic today that I would like to discuss is customization options in Microsoft Search, which is a broad topic, and also we have more and more options there. So I would like to show you what is possible first, but I would like this to be a discussion. So if you have any questions or anything to share with others, feel free to raise your hand or use the chat window so that we can have this discussion as interactive as possible. So quickly, what I'm going to show you is the different customization options, namely the custom verticals, which is already possible in Microsoft Search. We can also create custom filters for each of those or most of those verticals. I'm going to show you how it looks like. And we can also create custom result types now with some boundaries and limitations again. So we are going to talk about those as well. And also I'm going to show you the PnP Modern Search options and the PnP Modern Search library, so that you have an idea how to extend the feature set of Microsoft Search if that's what you need and what your organizational need. So let me switch to my demo environment. This is where I'm planning to spend most of the time today. So if I do a search for something like template on this demo, this is what we get with the Microsoft Search results. We have which is a bookmark. We have those traditional results. We have results coming from a connector, which is our website, and then further results. There is no too much customization here, and basically this is pretty much the out-of-the-box experience. However, if I switch to another vertical, like you can see, I have a couple of verticals here. One is for the website results. This is a connector. So basically, these results are coming from our public website, as you can see. Or if I switch to the PDF files vertical, you can see that those results are customized here. I have those tiny icons under the result. I display the site where this result comes from, and also I have this label here that this is a PDF demo file. If I go back to the all vertical and if I filter for the PDF files here, you can see that I have the same experience. So this is a global setting. I can see all the PDF files with this template. So how it is possible, and what are the options and what is not possible, because there are some boundaries here. I would split it into 3 parts. One, what is possible on the verticals? What kind of verticals we can create, how we can create those verticals. Second, what is possible with the filters? And third, what is possible with the custom result types? Again, this is all out of the box Microsoft Search. You don't have to deploy anything. You don't have to add any custom component to this. It's all in the out of the box tool set. Let me do one more search for, I think it's lime. No, it's lemon. Yes, so if I switch to this food database vertical, you can also see those custom results here, which are coming from an Azure database from a connection. So there are a couple of things, but once again, let me talk about the verticals and then the filters, and then how to customize those results. So first of all, you can do those customizations on 2 different levels. One, you can do these on the organizational level for the whole tenant. This is what you can do in the Search and Intelligence Admin Center, or you can customize these things on the site level if you want it to be specific to that site. I am on the Search and Intelligence Center now, which can be accessed from the Microsoft 365 Admin Center. It's under Settings and Search and Intelligence. If you are a tenant administrator, of course, you have access to this, or you can be a search administrator. That's a separate role, and also in this case, you have all these options available for you. There is one more search-related role, which is called Search Editor. The Search Editor cannot do these customizations. The Search Editor can create custom answers like bookmarks, locations, and those kind of things, but not customizations. So I am a tenant administrator, but as I said, a search administrator can also do the same settings. So first of all, let me show you how to create those custom verticals. To do those customizations, you have to come to the customizations tab here, and for the verticals, you switch to the verticals. What you can see here is the out-of-the-box verticals. Some of them are updated, some of them are as out of the box. And if I scroll down to the bottom of this list, you can see that some verticals are disabled. So this is the first thing that you can do. You can disable some verticals if you want to. So for example, we don't use Power BI in this demo environment, therefore I disabled the Power BI vertical. And you can do the same with most of these verticals. The other thing you can do, and let me show this with the all vertical, I can rename an out-of-the-box vertical. So if all is not descriptive enough for your users, you can change it to everything, or you can change it to intranet content, you can change it to Office 365 content, so whatever makes sense to your users. The content source cannot be changed on this out-of-the-box vertical, but you can change the query and you can add additional filters. And these are very interesting because those are the filters which are displayed and which are used on top of the page. So for example, we have a content type filter, we have a site name filter, and we also have a language filter, which are custom filters here. Out of the box, you have the file type and you have the last modified only. So you can see that we have a couple of ones. We cannot see the business function for some reason, but the language, the site name, and the content type are there. Most probably the business function doesn't have any value, and this is why the filter is not displayed for these results. The query is also interesting. So if I open this setting, I can add a KQL query here. Why is it useful? This is useful because this is where you can exclude results, or this is where you can filter for some specific results. So for example, on the all vertical, you can filter out everything that is older than 3 years, let's say. Or this is how we filtered for the PDF files on the PDF vertical. Or this is how you can filter for the OneDrive results only and not including the SharePoint documents. So this can be very, very powerful depending on your organization's needs. There are a couple of things to note about those settings. So if I switch back to my presentation, because it's easier to summarize if I visualize this table to you, on the left side, you can see the name of the out-of-the-box verticals here. And then these are the different settings. So change the name of the vertical, custom KQL query, which I just showed you, which can be used to limit or filter the results, custom filters, which are on the top, and also you can enable and disable most of those verticals. So what this table summarizes is what you can do with each of these out-of-the-box verticals. So for example, the all vertical, you can change the name of the vertical. You can add custom KQL query. You can add custom filters, but you cannot disable this vertical. And this is always the default vertical as well, so you cannot change which one is the default one. With the files vertical, there is a vertical which is named files out of the box. You can change the name of the vertical, you can customize the KQL query, and you can add custom filters, but you cannot disable this vertical. If I switch back to my environment, you can see that I do not have a files vertical, but I do have a OneDrive vertical here. What did I do here? I renamed the default name of this vertical from files to OneDrive, and I have added a custom KQL query to filter for OneDrive results only. So this is one customization. This is one customization that we have done here. The sites can be disabled and can be changed. Everything. One interesting and one serious boundary is with the people results. With the people results, you can change the name of the vertical, but nothing else. You cannot change the KQL query. You cannot create custom filters, and you cannot even disable the people's result. Why is it important? Because in some cases, or most organizations who I have been working with would like to hide the service accounts, for example, from search. And KQL would be a good option for that. So you could filter out, those service accounts. But basically, it is not possible on the people vertical today, so you cannot do that. And also custom filters would be very useful if I could filter by department or geographical location or job role, but it is not possible today. Images are pretty much you can do everything except custom filters. With the news, you can do everything, so you can disable custom filters, etc. And with the Power BI, you can change the name of the vertical and you can disable it. Of course, if you create a custom vertical, you can do all of these changes with your custom vertical. This table is for the out-of-the-box verticals only. We have a couple of questions in the chat. Will a recording be available? Yes, the recording will be available later. Marenke, I have a site where the PnP Modern Search is connected to the Microsoft Search. How can I disconnect it so the search results are independent of each other? If I understand correctly, so if I go to this site, for example, and if I search for something here, you can see the results are being displayed in this PnP, on this PnP page. So if I understand your question correctly, this is what you currently have, and you would like to disconnect it. So for this, you need to go to the site settings. And in the site settings, you have the search settings under the site collection administration. And this is where you define the URL where the search should be redirected to. So this is the URL of your PnP page. If you turn this off by checking this checkbox in, then it would be the default search again. So again, you go to the site collection settings, search settings, and this is what you have there with the URL of the PnP page. You select this checkbox, use the same results page as my parent, and then you click OK, and then it would be the default behavior as well. On the site level, this can be disabled, only the all vertical cannot be disabled. Yes, on the site level, those settings are somewhat different, but most of them are the same. And it's since this organizational search is available from everywhere, I I found it important to highlight that you cannot do everything with each of those verticals. Plus, it is not consistent either what you can do with which vertical. But you are right, it might be useful to create a similar table for the site level verticals as well. Yes, Jim has a question. When I made the org level changes to the vertical in SharePoint, it didn't also apply those changes to Microsoft Teams search, like those verticals are maintained separately. Is there a way to make changes to the verticals specifically on Teams? Unfortunately, no. So these verticals are used in Office.com. They are used in SharePoint. So if I search for something here, I can see the same verticals here. These are used in Bing. So if I switch to the work vertical in Bing, those Microsoft Search verticals are on the left side. So, but these are not respected in Teams, and we cannot customize the Teams search as well. Yeah, and there is one more question about, oh, is it possible to create a vertical for Teams messages? I'm not sure about the status of that. It should be either already available on your tenant or it's coming soon, but it is somewhere close. I'm not sure where it is at right at the moment. Okay. So these are the verticals. Let me go ahead with the filters, and if you have any questions, just keep them going in the chat, and in a similar way, I'm going to try to respond all of your questions. So the filtering settings, if I come back here, and if you remember, I had those custom filters here for the site name, for the content type. These filters can be added and can be defined on the vertical level. So to be able to edit those filters or create your custom filters, you need to go to the vertical settings. So for my filters, I have to go to the all verticals, and I have to click here on edit for the filters. One side note here, if you update anything on the verticals, those updates are not being displayed immediately on the UI. So if I create new filters here, or if I rename the vertical, or if I create a custom vertical, I have to wait a couple of minutes. Sometimes it's up to 20-30 minutes until those changes are applied. So don't be surprised if you change something or you want to try something, you save those settings and it's not there. You have to wait. It's important. So again, I am on my vertical settings and I click on filters. And you can see I have those filters defined here. I have the language, the site name, and the content type. And the business function is mapped to the refinable string 3, but this doesn't really have value for those results that I showed you previously. So if I click on add the new filter, first I have to select which property I want to use in the filter. And these are the refinable properties. In Office 365, we have out-of-the-box properties which are refinable, and also we have many refinable properties: refinable date, refinable string, refinable integers, etc., etc. So we can use those refinable properties here. One side note, which is again an important limitation here: you can create refiners or filters for the text type refinable manage properties, and you can create date type filters, and that's it. You cannot create refinable numbers, which might be painful in some cases. If you would like to ask me why, I have no idea. It is how it is. But unfortunately, it is just text and dates. In some cases, it is very painful. So for example, if we are talking about invoices and you would like to filter by the invoice total, you cannot do this here. In other cases, it might be we might have some workarounds. So for example, if the number property that you store as a number refers to something that has very specific distinct values, like a year, in theory, it is possible to create, or it is possible to map that year to a text refiner and then create a text refiner for that. But again, in this case, you are not able to filter for a range. You have to filter value by value. So if we are talking about years, you have to select each year that you would like to see the filtered values for. Again, only text and date refiners can be created. So yeah, let's content source. Yeah, let's create content source. For example, in this case, the content source could be SharePoint, could be OneDrive, or it could be a connector. Or we can filter for the created, which is a datetime refiner. Yeah, maybe the datetime is better. So if I select my property, you can see, and I can only select one, obviously, because I'm going to create a filter for that one property. So I select the property that I would like to create a filter for. I click next. I have to give it a display name. In this case, this is a created date. And then I can, for the dates, I can only change this setting if I would like to enable a user input box or not for the dates, when the user can select those ranges. So let's save this one and let's create one more for the content source so that I can also show you a text type refiner. For a text type refiner, content source demo. For the text type refiner, I can define if I would like it to be a single select refiner or a multi-value select refiner. And that's it. So I give it a name and I select an interface. I click done. So my two demo refiners are here, and then I click next and I click on update the vertical. As I said, it might take a couple of minutes, so we would be I can try to refresh my page now, but it's not here yet. But we would come back to this vertical later to see if those filters would be populated before we wrap up this session. Okay, so verticals. You can change some settings of the out of the box ones, and you can create your custom verticals. Filters can be created on each vertical separately, but again, only text and date type filters are available. So the next thing I would like to show you is the result types. On this tenant, we have a couple of custom result types defined. One is the PDF one, which I already showed you. We have one for the food. When I did the search for the lemon, you saw those picture of those food items in the database. We have one defined for our web results, and also we have one defined for list items. Let me create a new one just to show you what is possible here. So I have to give it a name, and then I have to select the content source. We do have this SharePoint and OneDrive option, and the others are connectors in my case. So if you have graph connectors, those sources would be displayed here. Otherwise, the only option you have here is the SharePoint and OneDrive. On the next one, we can define the rules for this result type. What does it mean? This result type will be applied to specific results, and these are the rules which describe which results would be those for this specific rule. So it can be a SharePoint list item, it can be a SharePoint page, a SharePoint site, or PDF document. One super important thing here, again, I have selected the SharePoint and OneDrive as a content source, and now I can see the different types of content. SharePoint list item, SharePoint page, SharePoint site, and PDF documents. But there is no way to customize the result type for Office documents like Word, PowerPoint, Excel, those kind of Office formats. Again, don't ask why. Go to Microsoft and ask them. I have no idea, but this is how it works today. So out of the box, again, it is not possible. So if I would like to create a new result type for SharePoint pages, the next step I can do here is I can add additional conditions. So yes, SharePoint pages, but only if that page comes from a specific site. That page, it has a custom property, for example, or if that page is created by someone. So we can use some properties here. One important thing is that at the moment we can only use the out-of-the-box properties for these rules. If you leave it empty, then this result type would be applied to every SharePoint page results. And on the next page, you design the layout, how it should look like. So this is where I described how this PDF should look like. These are the JSON description for the adaptive cards, and we can use the layout designer here. I don't want to go into the details how it can be used, because it takes a lot of time to design those layouts, but this is how you describe them. And the last step is just to review your result type. So if I, instead of that, if I open up the PDF demo one, which describes how the PDF results are being displayed, you can see that we have a huge JSON describing that template. So, for example, this is the description, the label that I have added here, and this is how we display the site title on each results. But again, this could be a separate session, how to use the layout designer and how to create those adaptive card definitions here. Once again, you can create custom result types for list items, pages, sites, PDF documents, but no Office documents at the moment. Oh, and connector items, of course. So if you have graph connectors, then you can customize how those results are being displayed. One not really official way, if you really need to customize how the Office documents are being displayed. Some companies create graph connectors from a tenant to the very same tenant, and then those documents can be considered as a graph connector result. So then you can create a result type, custom result type for those documents. Again, this is not the official way, but this is the only way if you really, really need to create a custom result type for Office documents. One more important thing about the graph connector results. Today, if you use graph connectors, there are two options how you can display those results. One is those results can be displayed on separate verticals. So for example, in this case, this is our website, and these results are coming from our website. And also the connector results are being displayed in result blocks on the search result page on the all vertical. This does not mean that they are ranked into the same into the list of all the results. This is a separate block, and you can see only two results are being displayed here, and the only thing I can do is click on more results, and if I do so, I am redirected to the separate vertical. This is going to change. Microsoft has just announced that the graph connector results would be ranked and merged to all the results. So instead of this experience, you would be able to have this experience for the graph connector results. The timeline for that is the first half of this year, so it seems to be close, and we can hope that it really happens soon. Again, we have a couple of questions before I move forward to the PMP search. Jim, if you make changes to the verticals and display templates on a hub site or organizational level, is there a way to apply all of those changes to all of the other sites under it? Or do you need to repeat this for every site individually? You cannot repeat or copy paste those settings to the sites, unfortunately. So you have to do that one by one. Or the other option, if I go to one of our sites, you can see the default scope is search this site. So if I search here, those results are coming from the communication site. So this site, the scope, the default scope is this site. Or if you use a hub, then the scope is that hub. So you can see I haven't created any custom verticals here. This is separated from the tenant level settings. I could do this on this specific site. What I can do, if I click on the organization, then my search is expanded to the whole tenant. So one thing, and I know this is not really what you want to do, Jim, but one thing that you can do is to make this organizational scope the default on each site, depending on what you need and depending on how your content is structured. Some companies do that. So wherever I am on the collaboration site, on the communication site, on HR, IT, wherever I am, if I do a search, I get the results from the whole organization and not only from this specific site. So that is an option. You can do that by PowerShell to change the scope of this search. But if you would like to keep this site scope here, and you would like to apply the same verticals with the same filters, there is no way to do that other than just going to each site and creating it again and again. But this is I think this would be a good suggestion to Microsoft to support these scenarios. Okay, Yehuda would like to hear more about the layout designer. That's noted. Thank you. Jim, you already changed the scope. Yes. As I said, this is not the same because then the scope is changing, but there is no way to do that side by side for each site, like automatically or by script or something like that. Okay, the last thing I would like to show you, maybe not. Yeah. Okay, maybe this one is a good one. So what I would like to show you is the PnP search. So the PnP search is basically, if you are familiar with the classic search, either because you use on-prem SharePoint or you use classic in the cloud, the concept here is similar. So basically with the PnP search, you can create search pages. You can add these web parts to these pages. The PnP library itself is a web part library, and you can create custom search pages with that. So for example, in this case, my page contains a search box here. It contains a search results web part. It contains a filter, and it contains some verticals. In this case, I have a vertical for document sets, and I have a vertical for documents. How the results are being displayed can be also customized here. So what properties we display here, if we provide a document preview or not, these all can be customized by PnP, and also custom filters can be added. Why is it useful and when is it useful? It is useful if you need specific search applications. So, for example, you need to create a policy center or a template directory in your organization. In that case, search can be a very good addition to those directories or those centers, because then you can help the users to find that focused content much better. It is also used in case of different types of knowledge bases. So when you don't search the whole organization. You don't search this specific site, but you search some specific type of content across maybe different sources. So when you need that, then this PnP library could be a good option. What the PnP library is, the PnP library is a GitHub project. It's an open source project. You can download this library, you can deploy it to your tenant, and then these web parts can be used in your on your pages. With PnP, you can do more customizations. On the flip side, what you cannot do with PnP, this search box on top can be redirected to a PnP search in SharePoint. But still, we do have this top search box in Teams. We have the same in Office.com, in OneDrive. Those non-SharePoint search boxes cannot be redirected to the PnP search page. So if you decide that, okay, you would like to create a custom search center in PnP and you would like to redirect all the searches from SharePoint to that page, that works. But still you need to educate the users that, okay, if you do a search in Teams or if you do a search in OneDrive, then it is not redirected to this central enterprise search experience, but Teams search is Teams search, OneDrive search is OneDrive search, and not this central enterprise search. As I said, you cannot customize the Teams search, for example. Daryl has a question. Can you do anything clever with search results that include a multi-select and delete copy move? If I understand your question, let me discard the change. If I understand your question correctly, you would like to have like a checkbox in front of each results here, and then do different operations with the results, like bulk delete, bulk move, bulk copy, archive, declare as a record, maybe tag the document. Out of the box, it is not possible. What you can do with custom development, of course, it is possible, and we have clients who needed something like that. With custom development, yes, you can do that, but not with the PnP, out-of-the-box PnP, so not as is the PnP library. Jim, site information, site settings search. There is an option for configuration, import, and export. Do you know if this could help with copying verticals to other site, or does this do something different? That's a very smart question, Jim. Honestly, I haven't tried what the import or what the export and import does these days. Earlier, it exported the search schema settings and those kind of things. I'm not sure if those vertical and filter settings are included in the import, but that's a good question. I'm going to look it up for you. Yeah, if there is any other question, just please either raise your hand and turn on your microphone, or just put it into the chat window. While we are talking, I'm going to add a little poll into this call, because I would like to understand what you would like to discuss next time. So here is a little poll for you. And if you could select your preferences, I really appreciate. the next call would be the last Wednesday of June, so 2 months from now. But please let me know what topics you would like to discuss then, and we will open up the registration soon. Is there a way to add the star rating to the search results? This is a question from Stacy. Stacy, do you mean that you would like to be able to rate the result itself? So if I do a search for, I don't know, search here, for example, I get the results, and let's say, I don't know, this one is the most relevant one for me. I click on 5-star to give a feedback to the search engine that this is the most relevant result to me. Yes. This is what you, this is what you would like to do. Yes. So what could be done? Definitely with a custom development. The hardest part with this is storing that rating to the result, but not to the document, right? So it's, and because it's not only for the document, but it's for the document plus the query, the combination of the result and the query. So for this query, this is a relevant document. For other query, this might be a totally irrelevant result. So this would be one challenge, to figure out how to do that. There are some options to do that, but it could be a custom development. And the other one, which I feel to be a bigger challenge, is to respect those settings in the ranking of the results. Because once again, you cannot store this result on the document, therefore it's not going to be the property of the document, like this is a curated, or this is a highly important document, but it's for the combination of the query and the document. And also, I can imagine that it would not be just for one query, but if I search for a template, for example, and I find a relevant document, maybe some variations of my query would be, for some variations of my query, that would be also a relevant document. So it would be a highly custom development. Most probably it is possible to implement it, but it is some very high customizations. There are a question about permissions. Everyone except externals. Is there any way to exclude search noise when site owners like to use the permission settings instead of scoping their sites to actual known individuals and groups? Yes, so this happens a lot. You are not alone with this challenge. And obviously it would be, so the question in this case is what you would like to filter out. If you can define what to filter out, then it can be possible. It is possible by KQL. But the biggest challenge is to define what to filter out. For example, in many cases, what should be filtered out for you might be relevant results to me because we have different job roles, or we are in different geographical locations, or we work for different departments, or whatever else. So the question here is, if you would like to tailor that content based on the user's profile, then I'm going to share a link with you in a second, because there are some options to that. But again, the biggest question is, what are the rules? What you really want to exclude in which case, if it would be a vertical, if it would be based on the user profile, or a combination. So technically speaking, there are options, but the biggest question is to defining what to exclude. Yes, and Yehuda had a message related to this question. You can make the site items not searchable, so if the specific users know how to navigate, it can be an option. Absolutely. This is, again, an option. Or again, you can use KQL to filter out specific items. And again, I'm going to look up for a link for filter for using the user profiles to tailor the search results. Just give me a second, and I'm going to put it into the chat window in a second. But meanwhile, if there is any other questions, just let me know. And I will see you again, hopefully the last Wednesday of June for the next session. If you have any questions, meanwhile, just feel free to drop me an email at agnes.molnar@searchexplained.com. And yeah, thank you for your questions, and thank you for joining today. And if you wait for a second, if you would like to see that user profile, respecting the user profile in search, then just stay around, give me a second, and I'm going to put it into the chat window. But thank you, everyone. Have a good day, have a good week, and see you next time in June.